Hi, welcome for our RTL online training sessions. In this session, we are going to talk about one of the important concept in human capital management. That's called checklist. Human capital management checklist. So, in the name itself, we have checklist is basically checking some list of tasks which we want to complete. Whenever we want to complete some group of tasks, we will be using the checklist. So what is checklist? A checklist is nothing but a group of tasks that needs to be completed whenever an action occurs. Whenever any action occurs, that time we want to perform some group of tasks. We want to perform some group of tasks. For example, when we say the action occurs, when we say the action occurs, okay, so what action perform? For example, whenever we hire a new employee, onboarding the new hires and offboarding or transferring any worker, or if you try to apply an absence leave. So different scenarios we have, different actions will be performing. Means the employees will be doing different performing different transactions, right? We cannot say that all transactions require checklist, but some of the transactions are required multiple tasks. Whenever we want to perform multiple tasks in the sequence order, then we prefer the checklist. Then we prefer the checklist. Okay. So you might have seen whenever you join in some organizations, the HR people used to follow this checklist format. What this is first your joining formalities needs to be completed. At the time of joining an employee, they are supposed to submit their academics certificates, their experience certificates. After that, attending for the induction classes, then completion of all the personal payment methods, nothing but their bank accounts and other uh, salary details submission to the HR department, and after that checking their systems, and like that there will be a flow. It depends on the client. One client will follow one rule, one client will follow another rule. Depends on the employee also, the procedure will be different. If it is a manager, then they are supposed to attend some other sessions instead of regular conduction induction classes. Okay. So like that, the checklist is nothing but the group of tasks which we want to perform in the sequence order. Out of those tasks, we can specify some of the things are mandatory, some of the things are optional, some of the things are required approvals from someone else, and there will be a performer also. There will be a, the person who is going to continue. So, as a human capital management functional consultant, it's our responsibility to create a checklist and maintain those checklist tasks. And we can also have a template, checklist template. Within that template, we can maintain all this checklist. And then we will go for assign this particular checklist to the employees. The moment when we hire an employee, some of the checklists we can specify automatic. In the sense, the moment when you hire an employee, automatically that checklist will be assigned for employee. I don't want to do it again manually for that particular any employee new hiring. So it should come automatically. So in that scenario, we can also set that it should automatically. We can also specify the eligibility profile. We can specify the eligibility profile. It means this checklist is required only for this business unit employees or this department employees or this position employees, like that. So a checklist can be automatically allocated when an action occurs, or you can allocate it manually. As I said just now, the checklist once it is created, you can mention that it should automatically go for allocate for an employee, or manually also you can go for assign the checklist to the employees. Whenever we are working with checklist, we'll have a couple of lookups. When we are working with checklist, we'll get that values. We know that lookup is basically a list of values with codes and description, where we can go for add the new values and disable existing values. There are standard 5 lookups which are provided by Oracle. Checklist category. So you can create different categories here. There are some built-in categories like onboarding, offboarding. If we want to add, we can go for add a new one here. Extensible type of lookups this. How many types of lookups we have? It's a general topic, right? It's not only in the checklist. We'll find it in all the modules. We'll see the checklist like finance and supply, human capital, everywhere. We'll find lookups, value sets, and flex fields. Lookups are three different types. One is extensible, another one is user defined, another one is standard lookup. Extensible is nothing but which we will be using to add additional values. Whatever Oracle provided, those values we cannot go for disable or delete. We can go for add the new values to this. So that comes as checklist category. And we have different task category and title of the onboarding sponsor and content category name if you want to add and action list. So these all built-in lookups we have. If at all required, we can go ahead with this options here. Then checklist profiles also there. Profiles are basically when you would like to set the values default. So profile will change the way of your application execution. When I say application execution, for example, when I open the checklist, the tasks or notifications are not open. Old notifications are not open because those are already deleted. Okay, those notifications deleted. Okay. So in that scenario, we can find out what's the profile value is enabled. So purge the duration for checklist action and thread idle time during synchronization web service checklist. Web services are used when we are using multiple applications. Whenever we try to exchange the data between the applications, it will be used. So defer disable checklist and task alert notifications. This all will be performing here. Okay. So these are standard profiles we have administrator level. Oracle has given some default values for all these profiles. Most of the clients will follow the same values. But if the client wants to go for have different values, they can go ahead with this. We can change the values according to the requirement. So that's about the profile values basically here. So we can also create a checklist template using the checklist template task in the setup and maintenance, means from FSM environment. So whenever where the checklist is created, by default, the status of the checklist will be draft status. By default, it will be draft status. And if at all we want to use it, we have to activate. And after some time, if we don't want to use that, you can inactive. So if at all you say that, no, I don't want to use the checklist template, I don't want to create. So what you can do is you can make use of predefined checklist templates by making of a copy of the template. Okay. So whenever we are creating the checklist, automatically the code will be generated, which is used to identify the checklist uniquely. Uniquely, we can identify the checklist code because when we are writing some queries in BI reports, or in workflow notification somewhere, if we are calling this checklist, we can call by using checklist code instead of checklist name. That's the advantage of checklist code. And we have eligibility profile. We know that once the checklist is created, if at all we wanted to assign this checklist only for specific employees, not for all. If at all you want to put some eligibility criteria based on employee person information, or based on employment information, we can use the eligibility profile. Eligibility profile is a common concept we'll find in options management as well as in payroll element creations and also goals and some other places we'll be using. Right. So that's about checklist template. So what are the different actions? So far we are just talking about checklist will be automatically populated whenever some action performs, right? So what are the different actions which we have whenever we are working with the checklist? So hiring, pending worker, pending work relationship. When you try to do the transfer, global transfer, create offer letter, this all offer letter comes from ORC, Oracle Recruitment Cloud, and we can see these all actions from different categories and the scenarios where this particular one is applicable. Okay, so this is going to be used over here whenever we are working with the applications. So that's about the checklist actions which we are going to have in the different levels. we'll be using that checklist of actions. Here it is. Okay. And how the checklist will be assigned. If at all you would like to assign the checklist for an employee, what we have to do is we have to go to person management. Once we go to person management, we have to search for an employee and go to the manage the employment information. There we have to go with the allocated checklist option, and we have to assign this checklist to the employees. That's how we will perform it. So if the checklist is having automatic assignment as per the eligibility profile, if employee is eligible, it's going to be assigned automatically here. And then manually means from person management, we can go for assign manually. Here it is. And then if you are going to assign that eligibility criteria, based on that only system will give the permission for assigning this element, assigning this checklist to the employees. And task performers, as I said, checklist is nothing but a group of tasks which we are going to perform. Okay, so this task performers will be there, and owners also will be there. So owner is nothing but a person who is having this particular task responsibility, who has created. Performer is nothing but a person who has to perform the action against the task. Either he has to give some response for that particular task. We'll call them as a performer. So performer, if he is going to give the result, then it will go to the next level. It will go to next level options here. So task performers and owners are derived based on what we will specify in the checklist template. So whenever we are creating the checklist, the moment when you choose the task, if at all you want to mention who has to perform the task and who is the owner of that particular task, we can specify that option at the time of creating the checklist itself. Okay. So that's how we will go for specify the performer and owner and assign this checklist to the employees. This is the diagram, like what we have discussed so far theoretically. This is, it comes as one image. Graphically, it is showing that what are the steps we are supposed to perform whenever we are working with the checklist. So worker is there means employee and is allocated a checklist manually. And if you assign this checklist manually to the worker, it will automatically trigger. So if you are going to perform that, it can be associated with eligibility profile, and it can be associated with the tasks here. And all the tasks, if are completed, then it will be going to perform. So task owners will be there who will be taking care of that particular task. And finally, the performer is going to perform the task against that particular checklist over here. It is. So that's the instance of that. Let me show you where do we find the checklist creation whenever we enter into setup and maintenance. So here is our checklist lookups, which we have, and checklist descriptive flex fields we have, if at all we want to perform. And here is the checklist template. So if I go to checklist lookups, there are four lookups we have. I think the one more is not available. One lookup has been removed. Title is there, category, We have 3. Let me just check. 5 should be there. Action list is not there. Action list is not there. So I think it's been removed in the latest version. It's 23B maybe. Yeah. So it's latest version. They have removed it here. So if I go for checklist category here, then it will show the list of categories. Yeah. Options management module, we have some checklist. Benefits module, we have some checklist. Compensation module, we have onboard, HR admin related. Okay. These are just names. That's all. Learn onboarding, offboarding, person, recruitment module, survey, conduction, learning module, health and safety. So the moment when employee join in the organization, there will be some checklist. Employee has to just go through it. That's all. You don't need to do anything. So we'll provide those particular checklist, and we'll also set the date. So employee should complete all those particular tasks within the date. Otherwise, it will keep on send the notifications to that. So all these lookups are extensible lookup. In the sense, you can go for add the new values in case what all you want to add. So you can go for add the new values here. Onboarding sponsor is one of the title. If we want to add the new title, we can add here. Now we have seen the lookups which are available for this particular. And there are descriptive flux fields here in case if we want to add additional attributes to your checklist, because descriptive flux fields will be used to add some attributes to the page. So Oracle has given some standard attributes where we can enter the information. But if at all you want to add some additional fields to your checklist, then it's going to be used over here. And here we can find the checklist templates here. So these are different checklist templates we have. Badge request, prompt your employee, update bank details, healthcare onboarding, promote US employee, essential workers, okay, grow your career. There are 127 standard templates are there. But obviously we are supposed to customize these templates, or if the new requirement is there, we are supposed to go for create a new checklist template that we are supposed to perform that. Over here it is. Okay, so welcome to your onboard experience. This is one of the checklist template. And this is the checklist name, and we can see that code based on the name it's generated. Description, status is active, valid from so and so date. Here is the eligibility profile we are going to specify. We are going to set the eligibility profile. So who are eligible this? So where do we create this eligibility profile? Separate task is there. We have separate task where we can create eligibility profile. Let me just copy this. Not mandatory. You can see that eligibility profile is not mandatory, because if you don't use eligibility profile, what happened? That checklist is applicable for all the employees. All the employees. You can also restrict based on country-wise and category, onboarding and allocation criteria, completion criteria. So checklist manually allocated when you wanted to go for manually, and you wanted to go for make sure that all the tasks are mandatory, days for completion, days for initiation, when the checklist needs to be initiated, and when it has to be completed. So it's a general information we are giving in the first tab. When we go for second tab, we'll provide the list of tasks. Here is our major work, because when we say checklist is a group of tasks that we have to specify here. E-signature your employment contract, sign your employment contract, order the equipment now, welcome to our company, provide some information, personal, and here how should we pay you? This is payment method details. Provide necessary documents, expand your network, like define your goals. Okay, so these all things will be there. And who is the performer required and all. If at all you want to go for add the new task, you can go for add. Create task, create task from task group, and create task from the task library. So we can find the list of tasks which needs to be available, and we can get it from the library. So let's say I want to have one task here. A sequence number, I would like to say that it should be there somewhere in last position, and checklist task. If you want to say it's mandatory, we can specify, and it will be expired in 2 days. After assigning the checklist to the employees within 2 days, who has to perform this? Employee. Who is the owner of this particular owner for this particular one? Initiator. Task type. Do you want to play any video over here? You can play, or you want to provide some document, or you want to give some external URL for this. So task is nothing but employee either should read, or he has to give some input, means he has to respond, or he has to watch, or he has to read and put the signature, or he has to read and ask for some more information, right? Like these are different tasks we can find. Electronic signature, he has to put our manual task, questionnaire. So if at all you would like to add some questionnaire, you can go for add the questionnaire here. You can give the permission to give the comments for this. Add attachments or document of records. If you want to give the permission, you can go for provide here. Do you want to send a notification to the employee in case if he is not completed within 2 days? So you can set up that notification and reminders. So obviously when the organization is going to provide some checklist if employees are not submitting within the day, because thousands of employees will be there in the organization. It's very difficult for the HR department manually verify those things are done or not. So it's a system responsibility. It's supposed to verify those things at the time of joining whatever we have specified. Okay, so when you wanted to go for send this notification, you want to send the notification to owner of this particular one or performer. So when the task is completed, as soon as it is updated, all the scenarios I wanted to send the information to the performer. When you are sending a notification is just like an email, right? So what template do you want to send it? So you can build some BI report, RTF template, and you can set that. So obviously, this built-in templates does not have the Oracle client logos or standard format. Whatever they provide, that we have to specify here, that we have to mention over here. This. And if you want to go for add any notes here, it can be added. It's for hiding. How about display settings? How you would like to go for display this particular task here? You want to go for add to the calendar, show, and notes you wanted to display or not. Attachments you want to display, allow. So these all are setups related for displaying this task to the employee. Edit a task, reassign this task. Right now, you are not allowing them to edit a task, but I want to Performer, it's hide. Owner can edify, but I want to give the performance. I want to show for the performer because the performer would like to go for change these values. Let me provide this. I don't want to allow them to remove the task or reopen the task or save a draft. We want to allow. Okay, fine. So let's go for save this. This is how the task will be complete. But when we are talking about this particular applications or checklist here, a lot of discussions we have to do it with the client. And then finally we need to ask all this questionnaire because they'll not be clear with the what they have and what features we have. We as a functional consultant, we are supposed to explain all these options to them and then they'll go ahead with that. This is the checklist as per the sequence number we got here. Total we want to modify that. Edit, delete, add to library can be done. Let's go for save and close. This is how we are going to specify the checklist. Welcome to on board. It's an active and this is eligibility profile which we have. Just copy. Second template eligibility profile here. This one, this is check-in templates. We can search directly eligibility profile. This is for options plan eligibility profile. Any model we can take. Eligibility profile is a concept here. Options plans eligibility profile. Okay. So we'll go with general eligibility profile. Here we can find the eligibility profile options for which module. This is what the option checklist. In case if the eligibility profile, if you want to create a new one for your client requirement, so then what we have to do is we have to use profile usage as checklist so that your eligibility profile is used only for the checklist preparation, not for other. Now this is the place where we can search and we'll see what are the things are valid. We cannot go through each and every tab, right? Because there are number of tabs. I cannot go through all. It takes time, right? Click this button, view hierarchy will come to what conditions we have provided over here. We'll get it here. It is. Now it's assigned for all these legal entities. Let's say I wanted to go for assign this for US1 legal entity also. Go for add. So 6 and I'm selecting US1 legal entity. So we did for the US1 legal entity also. So the moment when we hire an employee here, we can find, select new person. Hire employees here. Right. This are we know already. Assignment information. We hired an employee successfully. Let's go to person management and search for employee here. So these all are checklist notifications. So when we hire an employee, if employee is eligible, it comes automatically for that. Yeah. Now this is an employee. We have hired successfully here. Now we can find here personal and employment and go to allocate checklist option. Now we got two things, onboarding, workforce unification journey is there, and update bank account details. But ours is not added. If we want to add the new checklist manually, we can add from here. Here we can go for add that particular checklist manually. So what is the template name? Enterprise onboarding, right? Yes. So allocation date is today. Today we have allocated this, and let's go for save and close. You already allocated an enterprise. Okay, it's already there. You know, it's already initiated. Total 14 tasks needs to be completed. Here one by one we have. These are the tasks needs to be completed. So here is an option. If we want to add any task from the task library, it can be assigned over here, and we can go for add the task. So this is manual assignment for an employee. Employees can just go for this is welcome task. So if you want to edit the task, he can edit. Notes and all. Otherwise, when employee log into the application, he can also perform all this. This is from the HR admin point of view. Then employee login. So user account is not generated. So it's not generated. Maybe the last name and first name is there. Let me check with this last name on actually. Yes. Default employee role we have. This employee role is an abstract role which has been assigned automatically for us. Here I can find auto provisioned as yes. So while creating this particular role, or maybe someone has updated that auto provisional as yes, that's the reason we got this role automatically for all the employees the moment when we hire it. Employees will be receiving the notifications like action is required. This all comes here, e-signature, and these all are the tasks. So total 18 tasks has came here. An employee can perform all these tasks from this here. He can also go for navigator, the option, and perform all the checklist here. So recently Oracle has introduced something called journeys. These journeys are again, it's in top of this particular checklist. Here it is. Select the journeys. So it's additionally, it's one of the application journeys. It's not some other new one. It's a part of that. So it's going to show some visualization for the employees saying that in onboarding, this is whatever the information we have seen that here only we are getting, but it looks like a little bit, graphical part. The organizations wants to motivate the employees to respond immediately. For that, very good GUI is designed by Oracle on the journeys. Okay, so here again the same tasks will be there. They can go ahead with the completion of all these processes here. It's a video option. Welcome to our company. We are delighted to have some join and now the employee can say that it's completed, done. Now system will show you out of these many tasks it has completed. So instead of earlier checklist going through the notifications and go for one by one, instead of that, so journeys will give more GI application part for the employees to go through that. It will be more helpful for them to provide the information as the organization is expected. Okay, so this is about the journeys, checklist concept. Journeys we'll try to discuss in another session about that. Okay, thank you.